Healthy Rebel Radio is sponsored by the Healthy Rebel app. 300 plus secretly healthy, delicious, mouth-watering dessert and treat recipes made with all-natural, whole food ingredients. Now available for download on the App Store and Google Play. Find out more details at healthyrebel.com.
Welcome to Healthy Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Dr. David Deiser. I'm here with my Dami Health Healthy Rebel co-founder, Amy Lane. Good morning.
Good morning.
Today we're talking about stress and how stress affects weight loss. It's a big topic. We've talked about it a few times before. Today I want to talk about a very specific mechanism that can be harmful in our lives. And this mechanism is based on prefrontal cortex function. Now, this is an area of the brain that is really, really important in what's called working memory. Working memory is that ability to make decisions in the moment based on things you've been through, based on your highest good, based on your goals. It's using your memories, like that's in the term, to make decisions in the moment. When you're stressed and you're releasing high levels of cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, and dopamine, these molecules can affect the prefrontal cortex. They can shut it down. And in that situation, what happens is decision-making is reduced. Positive decision-making is harmed. So all of a sudden, you're making decisions that aren't supportive of your highest good. And all it takes is a little bit of stress. And the reason for this is that when this happens, the point of stress is to run from bears, right? Like that's why we have this response. What it does is it potentiates the same neurotransmitters. So norepinephrine specifically and dopamine, when you release those and they hit the prefrontal cortex, it's another signal is hit to a different part of the brain that says, let's make more, we need more, we gotta run. Instead of, do I need to be stressed right now? It's more like, let's set all the alarms, ring them. So anyways, how does stress affect weight loss for this purpose? And usually it's based on poor decision-making around food and exercise. So how do we combat that? What do we do?
Practice.
I think it's
Change your reactions by practice.
It's an important point because we've talked about this a few times, but it's really important to hammer down. The brain is very malleable. You can strengthen certain areas.
Yeah, it's just like when you see anybody that's great at anything, and the easiest example would be, elite athletes. They make great decisions in clutch moments because they practice. Mm-hmm. So it's the same situation. You have to, if you have negative behaviors, you have to get out in front of yourself and create positive behaviors.
Right.
So we do this by setting ourselves up for success, by making those hard, good choices in tough times, even when you want to pound your fist and say, I deserve ice cream because my boss is an asshole. You still choose to not do that. You get out in front of yourself. And by actually reducing your stress. So the things you can, we can't choose our coworkers. We can't choose our boss. Like there's those, for a lot of people, those are true statements. But we can reduce our exposure to, say, friends that are no longer conducive in our lives. We can limit exposure to certain family members if they bring up old stuff and old patterns.
Right.
We can change our reactions in relationships.
Yeah. What you're saying is your big moment is going to happen and you need to be ready.
That's right. And you can
stress is going to happen.
Stress, if you can just, one of the biggest things, faults, time wasters I did on my journey, which, I don't say any of that with a heavy heart. But, one of the ways I could have got to where I am faster was when I came from a very natural anxiety setting. So my natural resting place was anxious. I was anxious about things that were factual, and I was anxious about things that were I was just anxious. I was anxious, therefore I was alive. Mm-hmm. That's how I knew I was basically here. So when I actively decided, there's another way to live, I had the realization, I don't have to feel like this. I can actually change who I am and how I rest as a human being. When I went to work at changing those things, I, picked a certain path. And then I was very serious about it. Anything I undertake, I do it very seriously. I go all in, and I give it my all. And, I don't leave room for error that way. So I gave it my all. So when stressful things would come up that were completely out of my control, I would somehow perceive that I was failing on my path. And I would beat myself up and cause anxiousness within that. Mm-hmm. Instead of surrendering to the fact that stress is going to happen, and how we react to it is the key to success.
Well, and that, if anyone knows you personally, they know that that's ingrained in your brain now. I mean, that's how you function. Now, that's that working memory I'm talking about.
That was not who I was.
No, so you have built that up.
I was a victim that was bouncing from circumstance to circumstance, reacting to whatever was going on around.
Ah, that word reacting, that's really important, because when these neurotransmitters are high, and I was saying the amygdala is stimulated, which then tells the hypothalamus to make some changes, the pituitary to make some changes, that's that reaction.
Right.
You're reactive instead of being able to settle into what's my highest good, where should I be here?
So it's going from being the person or the thing or the whatever that reacts to all circumstances to being the lighthouse that sets the tone. And that's what I constantly focus on in situations. So, a lot of people have sloughed off in my life because it just didn't work out. It isn't where I am. But there's a lot of people that are still in my life, obviously, because they're, relatives or whatever. You can't just get rid of everyone and reset the deck. But the point is I can't make them act differently. Mm-hmm. I can't make them treat me differently. I can't make them respect me. I can't make them respect my boundaries. I can't make them respect my lifestyle. I can't make them even be nice to me. Or what their private thoughts are about me. Or what they say about me. I can't do any of that. So I have to surrender to that, and I have to understand that I have to change how I interact with them. So certain people, it's limited contact. Certain people, it's really firm, strong boundaries. Certain people, it was honest conversations of, this is how this is hurting me. This is how this is negatively affecting me. If they respect it, we can move forward and maybe open up, dial. If not, then boundaries. But all with love, not with firm metal gates, right? And that's a big key for, I think, a lot of women to reduce stress. Because we are very, generally speaking, emotionally intelligent beings. And the way people feel about us or what they're doing or what stress is going on in other people's lives directly affect us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not like men. We just shut the brain down. That just part of the brain is not...
Well, we want to fix it.
Right, exactly.
We want everyone to be happy. We want everyone to be healthy. We want peace. And we're very active in those solutions. But sometimes there's nothing you can do. And the only active thing you can do is do you. Mm-hmm. So that was a real key.
That's right. Work on yourself.
Work on yourself. Work on your own reactions. And do everything with love. And even when it's a boundary, it's not like a firm metal gate. Like, you can't come in. It's I love you, but I love you from over here. Mm-hmm. And this is what I have to do for me, and this is what I have to do for our relationship in the highest good of the highest health, whatever. Yeah. And this all loops back into emotional eating for me.
It does.
And a lot of people don't connect their day-to-day... they think everything's separate. Mm-hmm. We think that there's categories in life, and I think that's one of the biggest lies we've been sold. The English language is so limited in the way that we communicate that we use certain words and tools to explain things, but it kind of shuts us off from the reality. We explain life in, when we're talking about balance, and there's pieces of the pie, and but the reality is it's all one. Mm-hmm. And it all bleeds into each other. And if you think things are separate, it's not. It's all one. Right.
Yeah, we don't explain that very well when we're communicating to each other. Mm. It's you're right. It's constantly there's this separation, but it brings it back to this point. What is even this point? The point of this conversation, and really the big picture here is figuring out the reasons behind emotional eating and the reasons behind skipping workouts or not being physically active at all. Mm. And we see it all the time. I mean, it's so easy to make a decision in the moment that isn't supportive. For example, skipping workouts. oh, I had a hard day. I went through a lot. Or maybe you're really focused on something that's super emotional and it forces you to avoid that workout. Well, you're missing out on endorphins. You're missing out on a good workout.
You're missing out on creating a better future tomorrow. And there's two things I'll say about that. So, with the skipping the workout thing, the vast majority of what's going on in society shows us that people are coddling themselves too much in this area. Mm-hmm. By the fact that the majority of the public is unhealthy, overweight, or has manifested some sort of disease due to obesity or, food sensitivities. Mm-hmm. Okay? So, the majority of us have coddled ourselves for too long in the wrong ways. And, having a bad day, the worst thing you can do is then throw shit on top of it. Mm-hmm. And by that I mean eating junk food, drinking a bunch of alcohol, laying on your couch, devouring TV.
Right.
The best thing you can do is eat a healthy meal, drink your water, even just say a few affirmations to yourself if you don't have time to do, reading, journaling, whatever, and then getting your workout in no matter how you feel. And the best example I always think of is when I'm coddling myself in the wrong way. And I'll talk about the other side of this in a second.
Sure.
But when I'm over coddling myself and it's actually hurting my future, mm-hmm. I think of the easiest way to see it is like a young boy, and I have nephews. And, my nephew will fight with me and say, his morning's just too busy, he has too much to do, he can't brush his teeth. Mm-hmm. And I don't get it. I don't get how hard it is to be him. I don't get how hard it is to get ready. Definitely. He had a bad sleep. He will fight with me. But you fight with the child to brush his teeth because you know it's good for him in the long run, right? Mm. If he doesn't brush his teeth, they'll rot out of his head and then he'll be in a mess. So, I always think of that with myself.
Right, yeah, it really is that simple.
It's that simple, and we pretend that it's this, no, when you're older, and it's this, and it's the hormones, and the pressures, and whatever, but boil it all down. What is it? Yeah. You're being a child, and you're not doing what needs to be done. Mm-hmm. Now, the other part of this is, and the percentage is much smaller, is those that beat themselves up unnecessarily. So, if you've worked an 18-hour shift at the hospital, doing an overnight and running all night, and, you didn't get your proper meals in, and you're emotionally and physically exhausted, it's not called coddling yourself if you go to bed.
Oh, absolutely not. That's not a time to work out at all.
It's a time to go to bed.
Yes.
It's a time to be kind to yourself. If your child has been sick all night, and you were up every 2 hours, and you get up in the morning and you're like looking at your watch and like, gotta work out, gotta whatever, don't want to be. No, maybe you don't today. Mm-hmm. Today's maybe not.
Yeah, there is balance there, of course.
But the point is that I think society's kind of swung too far in telling us like the circumstances are 50-50 and they're not. Mm-hmm. It's more like 10% of us are beating ourselves up inappropriately. Right. And everybody and the majority of us are actually standing in our own way of success.
Right.
So, it's about learning, like, if you're sick, if you're coming down with something, it's not coddling yourself to go easy, whatever. But if you go get a pint of Ben & Jerry's because you don't feel good, that's hindering your success.
Yeah, that's a poor decision.
Like, people will email me and be like, well, I was sick, and I ate 2 liters of ice cream, but I was sick, so that's okay, right?
That's normal, yeah.
No, that's not normal. That's actually, like, compounding your problems. That's literally drowning and saying, can someone give me a cup of water? Mm-hmm. Like, what? No.
It's true. So how do we make this easier? 3 steps. You've already gone through them at the start. You outlined them quickly. Here we go. Number 1, stress reduction. You need to reduce these neurotransmitters. You need to reduce your cortisol release. How do you do it? What do you do to reduce stress?
I think one of the biggest things was owning my own crap. Mm-hmm. If you believe you're a victim of the world, of the people in your life, of your genetics, of your circumstances, of your husband, of your job, of your career, of your city, of your financial means, if you see yourself as a victim, you're constantly validating that the world is bad and you're a victim, and it puts you in a constant state of stress. I was the victim of everything. Now, there are certain circumstances where I'm not saying that, like, victimization, it doesn't disappear. Horrible things have happened to me by means of others. It doesn't mean that that's not real. But I am not a victim. I am in charge. I am an adult, grown woman moving forward today. And my results today depend on my actions right now. Mm-hmm. And then when you solely own that, you own all your crap. Barriers, not barriers, challenges. Taking problems and calling them challenges instead. Yeah. Challenges come up in our life for us to overcome. For us to be more. For us to be better. For us to come from a place of knowing so that we can guide others. You know, all those things. So, letting go of the victim story, just letting it go, I think reduces so much stress.
Well, it takes the burden off.
Stop lying to yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
Because underneath playing the victim, you know you're not. Mm-hmm. You know you could do better. You know you could do a little more. You know that inside you there's a hero that wants to come forward.
It's true. Now, physiologically, there's a few things that are really important. We know that having a proper B vitamin profile, magnesium, your iron profile, and then of course your gut bacteria, having proper digestion, making sure your flora is normal. We know all these things make it easier to actively reduce stress.
But if you're not doing the basic stuff, I don't care how many supplements you're taking, you're not going to get better.
I mean, the easiest way to do this is to improve your digestion so that you're absorbing these nutrients from your food. I mean, that's obviously ideal.
So first, it is get on and stay on long-term your healthy eating.
Yeah.
Commit to, surrender to whatever you're going to do, daily exercise. Then look at possible supplementation, and I think it's very valuable, but people try to skip the first two and then just shove a B12 on top of it and think that that's going to...
Yeah, and then they're not absorbing it or whatever, or they're taking...
It's just not going to do it.
A lot of people are taking their minerals all at the same time, and the absorption is harmed. There's a host of problems.
But that's another reason that, I think there's a lot of value in appropriate testing and consulting with a professional like you, where you're not you don't think that supplements are you treat supplements like their title. They are supplements.
Well, yes, and I even rarely prescribe complexes. Usually I'm prescribing single nutrients.
But it's complementary to what you're already doing to tip you over the edge to success. It is not the foundational cure.
Yeah, it's true. We try and do food first anyhow, but you're exactly right.
But, it does when you need it. It's like when I went through my whole adrenal fatigue, there was proper supplementation that you had me using that helped me heal.
Oh my gosh, there's so much value in supplements. I mean, I definitely agree, but it needs to be very specific.
You need to work with someone.
On the final stage here, I believe, of stress reduction, I think that coping mechanisms are extremely valuable. We've got losing the victim consciousness, we've got the physiological function with regards to nutrient intake. Now we need to find mechanisms that are actually helpful. And everyone says exercise, right? That's perfect. In this situation, you can probably see that that's not the most ideal because we're in a situation where we have poor working memory, we're making bad decisions in the moment. Exercise, not always the best coping mechanism because we're skipping it.
Yeah, so...
What else is there?
With exercise should be looked at as your, daily medicine, as your whatever, that actually... progressively and long term keeps your stress levels lower. Mm-hmm. So acute stress is still going to happen.
Yes.
But you're putting money in the bank every time you exercise.
That's right.
If you continue to exercise, your generalized stress, anxieties are going to be lower.
That's right. We're looking at generalized chronic stress.
So how do we deal with then when the acute stress happens? Yeah. Those are, and I think one of the truth that I think that it really is reduced is practice. Mm-hmm. When you're in a really stressful situation, having the conscious thought and deciding, I'm not going to go down with this situation. I am not this situation. This situation, no matter what, will pass. Even if it's, a tragic situation, the acuteness of it will pass. Mm-hmm. So, and then letting it go a bit. so you can breathe and get to a rational place of how to deal with it.
Yeah, what you're doing there is you're trying to switch over to the parasympathetic response, and I think it's extremely important. There's so many ways to do it. You've got it. You like to go right to this conscious thought.
Because I've done it the other way.
Exactly.
For instance, working online, like there's a lot of moving pieces that, if you don't work online, you probably don't understand. We have people that do all our hosting and all these things, and they're in different countries, and sometimes things go on that we have to deal with. And I used to lose my mind when things would go on. And it would feel like a fire in my body until it was resolved.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't stand being in my body. Right. I used to just lose my mind because it was so out of control. It had nothing to do with me, and I felt like a number, and no one gets it, and I'm getting all these emails of, why haven't you emailed me back? And people are taking their crap out on me.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. Yeah. I lose money, and it has nothing. I can't do anything. My hands are tied. So I used to lose my mind. And then with practice and decision, you can be passionate and care without going down with it and taking it seriously. Mm-hmm. So now my position is more, I'm still brutally honest and very business minded and direct. I still, voice my mind and get what I need to be done. But I let it go. Mm-hmm. I don't take it seriously. No. I surrender to the situation.
You do. I think that there's coping mechanisms here that we have to mention that are extremely important because, we can talk about this acute reaction, and we're going to get to that in a second, full blown, but right now, in terms of coping mechanisms for you, it's not just exercise. We've got other things: meditation, affirmation, journaling, gratitude exercises.
First thing I do in the morning is drop in.
Don't discount any of these things.
No. It is legitimate.
Like, on top of your exercise, please pick something else too.
Yeah.
It's really important to have something.
You have to. And I think first thing in the morning, dropping into what is real, what is grounding, who you really are, that life is for you, life is good, dropping into that, and it can be in the form of reading a paragraph of a book, it can be reading the paragraph, then sitting and meditating. It can be, writing some affirmations in a journal. It can be, turning on music that makes you feel, having a moment of silence. Even something as simple as using the Course in Miracles, like before you even open your eyes when you're laying in bed. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And to whom? Mm-hmm. So, like, in that you can just rely on speaking to your highest self, your highest good. So that there's a different resting place. There's something bigger than you at work here. And you can rest in that.
Yeah, it's this cleanse of the mind in the morning. And if all this sounds really fluffy to you, and you're not interested in it at all, please remember, first thing in the morning, some things that you're grateful for. Some good things about life.
Great thing too.
If you just remember, so we call these gratitude exercises, but usually I just get people to do 3 things. It takes 3 minutes. And you just think of things that are good about life that you're grateful for.
Yeah.
All these things work. There's no rules here.
No. But all of them take time to work. It's true. Not you just do it once.
It's not instant.
Like, you have to commit. Like, anything that's worth in life, I really have found, it takes like a doing it and then a surrendering to when the results come.
Yeah.
And anything that has been worth it in life, that has richness and has roots and has longevity and actually can make your life better, it takes time.
It's true. It really does.
And it will take less time if you surrender. Mm-hmm. The harder you try...
Yeah, that is the theme of the day, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. It does. The second phase of... We talked about stress reduction. Makes it easier for working memory. Now, what about strengthening that prefrontal cortex? What about... I'm going to be in stressful situations. How can I just be better at responding? And you've talked about this a lot already. These acute reactions that you have. How do you strengthen that area of the brain? Well, there is meditations. There are meditations. There are things that you can work on. You get better with time if you consciously focus on it.
Looking at, quote, problems, changing your inner dialogue to this is a challenge.
How you see them.
That's
exactly.
how I change it now. I don't have any problems. There's no such thing in my life. I have challenges. And either the challenge is, in that moment, I'm either learning that it's something I have to move forward and do, or it's something I have to step back and relax into. And you feel that out as they come. Yeah, and and if you can get to a place, and this is pushing it, but if you can get to a place where you're grateful for the challenges that come up in your life, you win it. You win at life.
If you can get there.
If you get there, you're a winner.
Yeah.
There'll be nothing else that could ever touch you.
What we're talking about here is outlook. And I ask people a lot about their mood. I say, do you think you're more positive or more negative? And it literally is about a 50-50 split. And I'm a holistic physician. I mean, this is people who are coming to me you would expect to be in a more positive place, but it's not. It's about 50-50. We've got a lot of people who just have constant negative thoughts, and they're self-proclaimed. Some people will say, my family would say I'm really negative. That happens a lot too. Shifting outlook is going to strengthen your prefrontal cortex.
I'll tell you another little secret that I've learned in life.
Another little secret, tell me, yeah.
Is what your family thinks about you isn't necessarily true.
No.
So you can let that stuff go.
That's right.
Let that flow.
Don't take that label.
If it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't empower you, it doesn't feel real to you, who cares? Let it go. People usually aren't trying to hurt each other. They're just projecting their own crap onto others. Right? Yeah,
it's true. So this outlook change, you've got reassigning the name of a problem to a challenge, helpful. I like a state change. I like recognizing that problems, that I'm making in my mind are not real. They don't really happen. I ask people that a lot too. These negative thoughts that you have, do they normally come true? And the answer is like 99% no, they don't. And I said, okay, that's absolutely not a big deal. I just want to do some sort of cognitive behavioral, assessment here that you recognize that the negative thinking is not really true. So things like that can be really helpful as well. But really, we're just talking mindset. It doesn't happen in a day. The state change I like to do is find negative things that aren't supportive of my higher good funny.
You introduced that to both of us, and that really does work.
Yeah, I got it from Tony Robbins, and it was like in my mind that shifted everything.
And we use it a lot.
Yeah, when you're laughing, you can't really be negative. You can't.
Well, we just on a small scale. Just the other day, it was really, really hot, and it was muggy. And anyway, there's this post office thing going on right now. So a lot of our shipping has been different with fear of, we don't know if the post office is going on strike or whatever. So anyway, we went down to FedEx. And David and I had a long day. We were tired. My feet hurt. We were just it was just the end of the day. We just wanted to get home. But we had this thing we had to pick up. So we went there, and there's nobody there. So that's great. There's one man working. And this man said hi. We're like, hi. And then he proceeded to ship something of his own.
We saw him pull out his own credit card.
And the process took about 14 minutes.
Yeah. It was long.
And he was just doing his own thing. He didn't talk to us. He didn't apologize. It was so rude and so disrespectful of us just standing there.
And we weren't in a good place at that time.
And we were so tired. And add to it that I'm very pregnant. It's very hot. He sees all this. Does not care.
No, he has no care.
And it was just a self-indulgent thing he's working on. Pulls out his own credit card, doing his own thing, and we're just standing there. No one else in line, just us. He could have just did our thing, got us out of there, and then gone back to what he was doing.
Our package was literally sitting right behind him.
Right behind him. Anyway, so, we laughed so hard about that.
Well, we found it really funny. It's hard to explain, but when you're in the moment, you're just standing there quietly for 15 minutes, and literally, he's just doing his own thing, and we both acknowledge that he's shipping something of his own.
Well, when he pulled out his own credit card.
Yeah.
But the point is that
You can either find that funny, or you can find it...
He's so disrespectful. I was so disrespected. It was so... Right. Like, we could go down that road and all of that's valid. It's all true.
Yeah, it was true.
We could have complained about him. We could have whatever. But both of us looked at each other and I, like, at the same time just thought, this is a Saturday Night Live skit. Like, this is so funny. We couldn't take it.
Well, I said it out loud.
No. At one point, David turned to me and goes, you know what, I miss Saturday Night Live. And I lost my mind. I laughed so hard.
Oh, it was so good.
But, you know, like... If we had taken it seriously, my feet would have hurt worse. We would have been more hot. It would have ruined the rest of our night. But just that silly example is how we conduct ourselves these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it wasn't always like that.
No. It was all very serious.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take it all very serious, more junk happens. Like, probably when you leave, you'll stub your toe. If you're mad at that man, and then when you go to your building, you'll drop your keys probably, and then probably someone will be rude to you, and then you'll be rude to, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I shared something last week, and it just made me laugh so hard because I think it's so true, and it's like, the bigger jerk you are, the more assholes you meet.
Right.
And it's so funny because it's so true, because if you
really
have
is.
a, quote, bad day, it snowballs pretty quick.
Oh my gosh, can it ever?
Right?
Oh yeah.
So... That's the thing. Like, I don't believe in bad days anymore. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe in going down with the ship.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, that's so true.
But this humor thing that you introduced me to, it really works.
It does. It
does. Really changes everything.
It's good.
And it doesn't mean you don't handle your business. If that was like a professional setting and I had to address that with that man, there's a way to do that, but it's a non-emotional way.
Yeah.
It's not like taking it personally. Like, he wasn't doing anything to me.
Or if we had somewhere to be, or, you know what I mean?
If it had to do with work, we would have addressed it.
Oh, yeah, most likely.
But it was a personal thing, and it just was, I don't know.
So funny.
You have to laugh.
The final stage here of improving your working memory and strengthening the prefrontal cortex so you can make good decisions is set yourself up for success. We've been talking about this a lot. Mm. You want to make it so that when you're in that situation of a potential emotional eating episode, that there's no bad food around. That only your choices are going to be things that are supportive of your highest good.
You know, the more I'm slacking off, the more firm my schedule gets. Mm. So if I've been finding that, you know, my workouts, if I'm finding reasons not to do them, that's when I start putting my sneakers outside my bedroom door or my office door or wherever that place is. I have to literally trip over them to go next, and it makes me work out. Yeah. I put my weights literally like out the day before in the way. So
it makes it easier on the brain. You don't have any thinking. There's no decisions to be made. It's just, this is happening because this is here. It's right out in front of me.
And we initially took junk food out of the house because I was healing myself from emotional and abusive eating. And this was many years ago. We took just all the junk food out. But then it manifested into something else, as in, like, A, we don't want junk food in our house. B, I don't want to give money to these companies producing things that I don't believe in, that I think are keeping people enslaved and unhealthy. You know, when we do want a treat that is not something that we make, we want to go out and have an experience anyway. Mm-hmm. Like, it's all better. Like, sitting around, like, in your stretchy pants eating out of a container is shameful. It's not an empowering way to live. Mm-hmm. You know?
Well, you don't feel good about yourself afterwards, normally.
Also, you're setting yourself up to eat more because you're sitting there with the container.
Yeah.
You have stretchy pants on, so...
Yeah, there you go.
And it's depressing.
This could be a tip. Wear tight pants now.
I say that for Thanksgiving and meals and whatever. I always used to dress like, oh yeah, get my eating pants, whatever. Right. Now I wear like tight, nice fitting stuff.
So you get to enjoy, but then it's like really uncomfortable, so it ends.
No, it's not about being uncomfortable. There's no uncomfortable. I don't get uncomfortable.
Right, yeah, you don't even go there.
Because I want to not look like a stuffed
Yeah,
annoy.
For sure. For sure. One other tip I'm giving out for this mechanism here when we're talking emotional eating is having the lettuce wrap set up, good to go in the fridge. You've got your romaine lettuce, you've got a few chopped veggies, and you've got maybe some hummus.
You're obsessed with this, by the way.
Do you know why I'm obsessed with this? Because I get hungry, like, acutely. And for me, in that situation, it's really easy to make bad decisions. Mm. And when there's things like nuts and seeds, when there's hummus and veggies, I get obsessed with this because it just makes life so much easier for someone who, you know, gets hungry really quickly and has to make decisions on the go.
And that's why I say when you make something, make lots of it.
Make lots of it. Yeah.
When I make anything, I make a lot of it that can be then turned and transformed into other meals. And it makes everybody's life easier.
That's right. We covered a lot today. I think this is a valuable conversation about emotional eating and getting your workouts in, and how working memory can be so powerful if you own it, if you work on it. Strengthening that area of your brain so that when you do have stress, because it's going to happen, you're going to have high cortisol, this norepinephrine dopamine connection that can shut down that part of the brain, you can stop it.
Remember that you're a powerful being.
Exactly.
And that you are here to feel good, and you are here to be optimized, whatever that is. You are your own hero. No one has to come in and save you. You can practice your own choices, and you can build strength just like a muscle. You can change your circumstances. You can change your resting place. You can change if you think you're a negative person or if you think you're anxious. You can change that.
Right.
First, let go of the story. You are not any of those things. It is just the current circumstance of what you're living in. It's completely changeable. And I know this because I've done it. And I'm not special. I'm very special, or I'm not. We're all special, or nobody's special. So we're all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's all the same.
Like, I'm not, like, out on a limb, like, I can do this, but you can't. We all can do it. I promise you we can all do it. And it's worth the work.
I love it. That's Healthy Rebel Radio for today. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Healthy Rebel Radio is presented by the online health and wellness center, DamieHealth.com. Since 2009, Amy Lane has successfully coached thousands of women through her signature program, the Bikini Body Program. Join today to work exclusively with Amy to unveil your greatest yet to be from the inside out. Go to DamieHealth.com for more information.
Thank you for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio. Please connect with us on our community pages on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, all at the handle @DamieHealth. For weekly recipes, articles, and all our episodes straight to your inbox, join our newsletter at DamieHealth.com. You can find all the links discussed in today's episode in the show notes. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow.